Hello everybody, welcome to this live feed. My name is Morten and I'm a master's student here at SDU, and I'm going to show off our amazing facilities to you guys. So come on inside. If you have any questions during the tour, just ask them down below in the comment section and I'll make sure to answer them as quickly as I can. So let's get inside. So as you're going to see in a minute, this is our big campus where we have most of our facilities. And up here at the end of the staircase, we have our big square where we have a lot of events during the semester. So you'll probably get down here at least once and see a lot of stuff happening. And we also have here around the square, there's a lot of offices where you can meet people that can help you with things, or there are a lot of couches where you can work with your study mates on your exercises or reading or whatever you want to do. And we can take a look over here, showing off that we have our career department that can help you with questions about how to get into the real world. But the most exciting thing is probably on the other side of the square, over here where we have our Starbucks restaurant, because as we all know, nobody functions without their coffee. So there are always people here, and you will probably also get down here at least once, I could imagine. So for the next couple of minutes, we're going to take a tour down this very long hallway that supposedly is one of the longest hallways in Denmark. It's 500 meters long, so we're going to meet a lot of people and see a lot of places down the road. But as said, if there's anything you want to see more of or ask questions to, just let us know down below. And as you can already see right now, there's a lot of life here in the hallways, because at this campus, we have collected all the study programs from all the faculties. So we are a lot of people gathered here. So there's a lot of people here, there's a lot of events here, there's a lot of facilities, and you will very frequently meet people who are studying something different than you. And one of those people here is Eric, who are working with our supercomputer Abacus. That is definitely one of the most amazing things about studying here at SDU. And Eric, can you tell our viewers something about Abacus?
I can, but first of all, why do you need a supercomputer? You could just buy a bigger one if you have a desktop or laptop, and this computer is too small, just buy a workstation, right?
Sure.
But at some point, you need something bigger. You don't have cores enough, you don't have the slots to bring enough memory to the computer, and this is where the supercomputer comes in handy. And this is the reason why we have one.
Yeah, and is it frequently used by students, or is it only for fancy research projects?
Not only for fancy research projects, we also have some student projects where the students can bring their knowledge to the table and thereby do some work on Abacus.
Amazing. So you will actually get the chance, if you come and study here, to work on Abacus as well. Thank you very much for your time, Eric.
You're welcome.
So, moving on down through the big hallway of people, we now get to, out here on the side, we get to the study service, which is a great place where we have gathered a lot of people that know a lot of stuff. So regardless of what questions you have, you can come here and they can help you. There are both people from our international department that can help you as a foreigner, there are people from our exam office that can help you with all the practical stuff, people who can help you with technical stuff for signing up. And regardless of what you might have, and you will probably have some issues in the beginning, but they can help you down here, or at least tell you who can help you. And some of the people that you might be talking to, especially being a computer scientist student working with your computer all the time, is here on the other side of the hallway, namely our IT service, who can help you with any issues from if your button don't work, if you can't connect to the internet, or if you have other similar issues. So they're also very good to befriend very quickly and come and talk to if you have any issue. And they're very nice, they can help with most things. We also have, you can probably not see it over here, but we have a hallway over here for all of our student associations. So there are a lot of things going on here in the spare time. There are a lot of different clubs and things going on social-wise or academically-wise that regardless of what interest you have, you can sign up for a choir or a hunting group or a study group or whatever you'd like to further investigate. And as you might be able to hear, things are getting a little noisy now because we're walking by our big cafeteria that serves as great food as you would expect from any cafeteria around the world. And you can come here mostly around the clock and get a great meal. If you're working late or coming in early, that's a great place to get some energy and start working, or maybe meet up with your friends. So we can also, while we are walking down the hallway here, we can also mention that, as you probably experienced with Eric before, most Danes are pretty fluent in English, so it would be pretty easy for you coming here as a student studying, because we all talk English. Most of our lectures are actually foreign. We use English books, so even most of the courses will be taught in English, which will not be an issue for you, of course, but also in your private life, if you go shopping or to the hairdresser or need to talk to your neighbor, you can also do that, because we're all pretty easy to communicate with. But one of the places where you probably shouldn't communicate that much is right here on my side at our study room, where we have a lot of study places for students that's open 24/7. If you want to read or prepare for an exam, you can do it in here, and there's a lot of spots. As you can see, it's very frequently used because it's very popular. And on the other side, very strategically placed, we have our bookstore written in beautifully Danish in here, that of course have all the books you're going to need in your classes, but also other paper and pencil and other material that you might need for your studies. So that's also a great location to get familiar from the start, so you can get settled in right away. And now we're walking down to the science department. As I said, we have all the faculties and all the studies gathered out here. So we each have kind of a little corner of the campus, and right now we're coming down to the science sense, where you will be as computer scientists, but we're also corroborating a lot with the other sciences from biology or physics, because the science department is, the science classes are not that big, but because there's so many of us, we can instead do a lot of things between all the departments of science. So we have a lot of both classes with different study programs, but we also have a lot of social events in your spare time. And that's also one of the things that you're going to notice coming here as a student, that the social part is a very big part of studying in Denmark. That there's a lot of stuff going on out here in your spare time, that people don't just go home once classes end, because we're here for more than that. That we have a great community out here, a lot of events, always meeting up with friends, so you can always find something to do and someone to talk to. And let's move a little down here. Yeah, and as I said about the social aspect, we're very social out here, and one of the other things that we're social about is that we have a very informal relationship to our lecturers. So we're actually also very social with them, talking to them by their first name, joking in class, and even coming by and talking to them in their spare time. because all of our lecturers here are very passionate about both teaching their subject, but also helping you as a student getting by and understanding the subject they're teaching. So if you're having any trouble, you can always come by and ask them. And in a minute, you will see us walking up to the Department of Mathematics and Computer Science, which is the department that you, of course, will be connected to, and where there will be a lot of events for you and your fellow students. So, you can recognize us by these beautiful green banners written in Danish, for your sake, of course, but our abbreviation is IMADA. That is the Danish abbreviation for Department of Mathematics and Computer Science. So you don't need to understand the Danish words, just know that IMADA is the place where you belong. So let's move up here and meet some of your fellow students and see the facilities. Yeah, so the first thing you'll notice coming up the stairs to the department is this huge study area where there's always a lot of life and a lot of people, because this is like the heart of our department where we're frequently at. So you can always find people up here working or talking or having fun. And right now we're walking to one of our hallways where all of our lecturers are seated. So we're going to be a little quiet in here because we don't want to disturb them working. But as you might notice along the way, there's a lot of the doors that are open here because we have something called an open door politic, meaning that if you come by their office and they have an open door, you're very welcome to come inside and ask them questions for anything you might be wondering about. And that's something we're very proud of here and do a lot to maintain, because we know that that's going to help you guys a lot in the long run. And here in a minute, you will start seeing a lot of bookshelves on the side, because now we are walking in our IMADA library, that all of these books that you're seeing here in the science is actually about math or computer science. So if there's anything you want to learn more about, or you think that your lecturer's book is not that great, you can always come here to the library and find some other literature, or maybe if you're doing a project, which is very common when you get to the masters. So note that the library is probably a place that you'll find yourself more than once. So yeah, so now that is basically the great tour of the hallway. So we will sit down now and answer some questions if you have any.
Okay. How many viewers? Bed.
Okay.
But do we keep going?
Yeah.
Do we keep going?
Yeah, we have a question.
We need a verdict from you.
We have a question.
Yeah, sure.
How do I actually apply?
Yeah, there will be a lot of the practical things. You'll learn about that later. But we actually have one of our advisors who are listening here. So if you have any concrete questions, you can just write them down below in the comment section of the event, and then he'll get back to you. But just note for now that you will need your transcripts from your bachelor degree and a language test that you'll need to upload, and then all the details you will get more about later.
Thank you, Morten. I think we have another one coming in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Connection is a bit bad here.
Do you have a question?
Do you have a question?
Yeah, you can take any of the statement if you find them relevant.
So we have another question coming in, and what is it? Yeah, how is it living in Denmark?
Yeah, it depending on where you come from, it'll probably be very different, because one of the things you'll notice if you're, for instance, out from down south is the climate here, that we have seasons here that are very different. So we have both very cold winters and semi-hot summers and windy falls. So you'll experience a lot of different weather, but it'll probably, since we're up north, you'll probably come from further down south and be used to some warmer climate.
Yeah.
So definitely make sure to pack a warm jacket and long pants before going here.
How far away is the beach?
It's actually not that far away, only about half an hour. That one of the things that you'll notice if you look at Denmark on a map is that Denmark is basically just a bunch of islands in the middle of the ocean. So there's not really anywhere in Denmark that's far away from the ocean, so you can always get there pretty quickly if you would like to go sailing or hang out at the beach. But as said about the climate, you should also note that you can go there in February if you want to, but it's probably not bathtub hot to swim there. So there will definitely be more people at the beach during the summer, but you can also go there if you prefer going to a walk. But it's not really one of the big selling points of Denmark, unless you just love water, of course.
And what is this hygge thing they have in Denmark?
Yeah, it's a Danish concept, and as far as I know, it doesn't really translate to any other languages because it's a very Danish thing, but it basically means that having a good time, having fun, that enjoying what you're doing just because it's pleasant, and it's something that we are very passionate about and that we do very frequently and a lot, just hanging out with your friends or your family and enjoying a good dinner or going to the cinema or maybe even getting a beer together, talking about the day. So it's also something about that we have very close friendships, and you will probably, if you're not scared of talking to strangers coming here, you will probably get a lot of Danish friends here that you will hygge with a lot of times.
What do you do after school or after the studies here? Do you have time to other things?
Yeah, like I think most university students in the world, some of us have spare time jobs that we of course have to attend to. But there's also, as said before, a lot of things going on here at the university. We have a lot of student councils that make sure that there's a lot of social events going on here. And that's actually one of the focus points of our university, that we realize that being social about your studies is important, that there's actually a study that shows that people who are active in a social group with their peers are more likely to get through the studies than people that just want to power through on their own. So we're very aware that we want to create a very social atmosphere and give you chances of meeting your peers. So there are going to be, first of all, a bunch of parties. Don't ever worry about that. There are plenty of time to have fun, but there's also more less exciting things, that there are game nights or movie nights or just going to the Friday bar, hang out for a couple of hours, or going for a ride with your friends. So there's a lot of things going on here, and there's a lot of different things for people with different taste.
What nationalities do you have here at Imada at the moment?
Obviously we have a lot of Danes because we're a Danish university, but we actually have also a lot of foreign lecturers. That we have a lot of Chinese lecturers, we have a lot of German lecturers, and I think we even have some from abroad. So you will also notice that even though the student will mostly be Danes, the lecturers are actually not mostly Danes, that they're actually the minority here. So even though you're from a different country, might even be abroad, you're not the odd one out.
So what's the daily language here?
The daily language is definitely English if you're talking with lecturers or in class or talking about study material, and most people here also knows the English terms better than the Danish ones, because as I said before, most of our classes are taught in English. But obviously for social interactions and spare time activities, the daily language will be Danish, because we're mostly Danes at those things and just hanging out with our friends. And you will probably also pick up on a few words along the way, but we're definitely not scared of talking English, so you can also get by if you don't mind talking to us.
This area that we're just seeing here, what is this area?
It doesn't really have an official name, but it's kind of our study zone, where, as I said, when we walked up the stairs, the place where we hang out. As you can see, there's a lot of students sitting here studying or just talking about the events of the days, and it's also usually the place where most of our social events are going on. That you can probably imagine all of these tables being filled with cake and people eating or playing board games or discussing some quiz or something like that. So this is probably the place that you will see most people hanging out.
Great. Do we have other questions?
Yeah, so it doesn't seem like there are that many other questions coming in, so for now I'll just thank you very much for joining us here for this tour, and I hope that there are at least some of the information you found useful, and if you want to know more, you can still comment down below or visit our webpage, SDU.dk, and read a lot more about the university and the studies here. So thank you very much for joining us.